Hello and welcome to the third episode of Fundamental Analysis tutorial series. Today we are going to discuss about annual reports. We shall try to understand what all things are there in the annual report and how better we can understand it. So generally annual report is considered as a backbone of fundamental analysis. So keep watching and stay tuned. I hope you remember your school days. So at the end of every academic year, you will be handed over a report card, right? Progress card. So if you can able to remember, this progress card mainly has two sections. The first one probably shows all the marks that you have scored on various subjects, and the second might involve the teacher's review, or that may happen in the right hand side of that also, about your general behavior and everything. So in other words, you can say that it contained a quantitative and qualitative assessment. I hope you remember what is qualitative assessment and quantitative assessment from the second episode of this series. So the marks that has given in your progress card, that is quantitative in nature. That means that has been mentioned in terms of numbers. And the teacher's review about your behavior, your discipline, or even about your attitude towards teacher, that all been mentioned there in the second part. This is qualitative in nature. That cannot be measured in terms of numbers. Similarly, when you draw up a quantitative and qualitative report of a company, you can have this in the annual reports of the company. And the annual report is prepared by the management of the company itself. So generally the annual reports are very lengthy in nature, and it takes time to read it. For example, let's have a look on HUL annual report. This can be downloaded from the HUL website itself. This is taken for example. We have to keep it in mind that the format of the annual report of any company is not a very rigid one. It varies from one company to another, but while the order of the content may be different, the core content that in the report remains the same. So let's have a look on this HUL report. The first section you can find as the overview. So in this section of this report gives the investors a brief insight into the various aspects of the company. In this section you can find things like about the company. So about this company section you can find a short history of the company along with the highlights of the last year. And in case of HUL, they have also talked about their brand and product lineup, their supply chain matrices, etc., etc. The second thing you can find there in the overview is the chairman's statement. The chairman, how they address that to the shareholders of the company. And chairman's statements gives you information of the performance of the company in the last 1 year. In the annual report of HUL, the chairman of the company has comprehensively talked about the financial performance, company's achievements, and industry trends. The third section in the overview section is the board of directors. This subsection basically introduces the board of directors of the company to the shareholders. So this contains the names of the directors and their position within the company along with their achievements. In some cases, they will give a brief synopsis of their past achievements also. And the fourth section is the management committee. So the management committee is a group of high-level executives who are in charge of various activities within the company. This subsection consists of the names of the committee members and their position within the company, along with some of their achievements also. The fifth section is the company's performance. So this section consists of highlights of the performance of the company in the past year. It can include both financial as well as non-financial performance matrices. So in the case of HUL, the performance section features, generally here you can find two subcategories. One is the financial performance, and second one is the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan. So financial performance shows the highlights of the profit and loss statement, balance sheet, key financial ratios, and share price details, etc. The second section, Unilever Sustainable Living Plan, this deals exclusively with the company's initiatives with respect to promotion of sustainability and reduction of environmental impact. These kind of things you can find it in many mining companies also. Next section is the macroeconomic conditions and outlook. So this section of the annual report of the company gives you an overview of the industry that the company operates. It also contains information on key trends and economic conditions that generally affects the company and their shareholders, and not just shareholders, all the stakeholders, even including the vendors or any other suppliers or everything, and the actions taken by the company to mitigate the impact, any adverse impact, or try to nullify or compensate of these kind of impacts. So in the case of HUL's annual report, for example, you will find this information in the section titled Our Past Changing World. You can find it here, right? Next section is the company's strategy. The company's vision and mission statements can be given here. Along with that, both the business and non-business strategies adopted by the company towards satisfying its vision and mission are also outlined here. Next session is about the company's business model. So this gives a very brief blueprint or an outline of the company's business model, and is typically mentioned as the company's business model head. So this essentially gives the investor an outlook about how the company operates and flow of the processes that generally carried out by the company. And the next important section is the reports. So report section of the annual report that consists of a consolidation of various other reports, and that deals with the performance, regulatory and governing aspects. So reading through these details, you can give a lot of non-financial information about the company. So let's have a close look on these kind of reports. So report of board of directors and management discussion and analysis. That's the first one. So this section of the report goes into the details of various financial highlights and achievements of the company in the last year. It also includes comprehensive information on which aspects that affects the company and actions initiated by the company with respect to those aspects. Typically, you can find the board of directors report covering on stakeholders engagement, risk management, financial overview, or financial performance, disclosures, annual report on corporate social responsibility. That is also a must for many companies based on the turnover, business responsibility report, corporate governance report, secretarial audit report, economic value report. Along with this, other important information on employee stock option plans or dividend or mergers and acquisitions or loans or corporate governance. Along with that, related party transactions. These kind of things also you can find it in this section. So next is about the quantitative part. So that's generally comes under the financial statements. So till now we had been discussing about the qualitative part of the annual reports. So with the start of a financial statement section, we are dealing with the quantitative part of the annual report. So let's have a few financial statements that you are likely to find it in the annual report. First one is the standalone financial statements. So these financial statements generally pertain to the main business entity, which is our case, this is the HUL. Part of this you can find it in this report are one is the independent auditors report, second is the balance sheet, third one is the statement of profit and loss, that's a P&L statement, statement of changes in equity, cash flow statement, and some additional notes. So notes are not mandatory, but generally that will be included in many statement. These all will be included in the standalone financial statement. Second one is a consolidated financial statement. This is applicable to the companies if companies have a lot of subsidiaries. For example, Reliance Industries, they have the subsidiary of Reliance Jio, Reliance Retail, etc. etc. Consolidated financial statement that includes the financial information of the main entity and its subsidiary or subsidiaries. Please note that this is prepared in addition to the standalone financial statement. So here also you can find all the financial statements like in the standalone statement that includes independent auditors report, balance sheet, P&L statement, cash flow statement, etc. In majority of the cases, especially the company is a reputed company, and if they have a habit of receiving a lot of awards or accolades, what they used to do is at the end of the annual reports, they used to include that also. So the awards or recognition or any other corporate information that gives some pride to the company, that all will be included towards the end of the section. So let's wrap up this episode of fundamental analysis by going through quickly to the discussion till now. In any annual reports, generally in the qualitative as well as the quantitative reports, generally that forms a major part of the annual report, contains a lot of information that you can find useful for the fundamental analysis. Or in other words, this will be the authentic report that you can use for doing a detailed fundamental analysis, other than getting something as rumors or some other third-party websites or etc. etc. That may not be authentic. So try to make use of the numbers given in the annual report, the balance sheet, P&L statement, or whatever it is for your analysis. So in the next session, we shall try to understand the P&L statement of any company, how we can read and interpret the P&L statement of any company. So that will give a better understanding of the company and how to do the fundamental analysis. So stay tuned, wait for the next episode, don't miss any episode. Wish you a happy weekend. Till then, bye from Anup.